Hello everyone, Victor Tanzik here, and welcome to the Reddit Railway. Today's destination is r/relationships, so all aboard! My sister-in-law has been married for 10 years to a guy who just can't keep a job. He's had a string of bad luck, but he's also a lazy worker who blames everyone else for his problems. He has bad hygiene and doesn't help parent their 3 young children. He's changed fewer than 5 diapers the entire time he's had kids. They lived in another state with my father-in-law for over 4 years, but he lost his job and will be renting out his house to make ends meet. Sister-in-law and her family now have to leave because they can't afford to live there. Problem is, they have no money and nowhere to go. My brother-in-law's family won't take them. I can't allow my sister-in-law and her 3 kids to end up on the street. She's constantly frustrated with him, but won't leave him. I live in a big city. There are plenty of job opportunities out there, though it might not be work he wants to do. If he could get a job and save up for a few months, they might be able to get a small apartment. The trouble is, I don't trust him. My wife is pressuring me to let them move in, but I have serious misgivings. I have a 7-year-old daughter myself. I also work from home, so having 3 young kids around could be a problem. What are my options? Simple, don't let them move in. Based on what you've said, this can only end badly. OP, you're not responsible for another family's welfare. You have your own to worry about. They should be your priority. Don't be motivated by guilt. That's the worst emotion to base decisions on. There are a couple of updates, so let's see what happened. Update 1. My wife and I ended up letting sister-in-law and her kids move in, but not her barnacle husband since I didn't/don't trust him. He's staying with his family in a neighboring state. He still doesn't have any solid job leads and won't accept advice to improve his resume or LinkedIn profile. He did help his family move into our house. By help, I mean he slept while me and my wife unloaded the moving van. I had to keep waking him up to do his share. He ended up scattering his crap all over the driveway, which we ended up rushing into the garage because it started to rain. I think you can see why I don't want him living in my house. It's been a struggle adapting to having 4 extra people living here. One of my sister-in-law's kids is a baby, and I forgot how much they cry. Another kid is a toddler. There hasn't been a single night where they haven't woken me up. It's harder than I remember. The little annoyances add up. Like I said, I work from home, so having screaming children outside my office door is really distracting. I had to move my car out of the garage because it's full of their stuff. Kids' TV is on all the time, and there's a cacophony of sounds stressing me out. My sister-in-law also resents that I won't let her barnacle husband live with us, and there's a cold war brewing between us. I'm also surprised by how much of a financial burden they've been. We went from a comfortable life to facing a serious monthly deficit. My wife, who is a stay-at-home mum, is now looking for a job. I feel intense frustration from all of this and want to kick them out, but every time I think that, I'm overcome by immense guilt because they have nowhere else to go. I feel like I should just shoulder this burden, that I should provide for them in silence since I did get myself into this mess. I want to help them financially too because they're really bad with money. Her van's getting repossessed, and I think it's up to us to solve this problem even though our own finances are in shambles. The guilt is just adding to my stress. Update 2. 2 months after they moved in, we did our finances and realized we were in serious trouble. All our costs had skyrocketed, and sister-in-law wasn't contributing anything. It was in that moment my wife and I realized we had been treating her like a victim of her husband's laziness instead of a co-conspirator. So, we put a plan into effect to try and fix this. We gave sister-in-law a schedule she had to follow, with fixed dates to apply for food and financial assistance. She also had to prepare a resume, start job interviews, and actually get a job. Once she started earning an income, we would charge her $200 a month to help defray the costs. When we told her this, she lost her shit. She started crying and accusing us of trying to separate her from her kids like we had her husband. She threw a fit, locked herself in her room, and made us feel evil for trying to get her to take some responsibility for her life. We didn't budge, and I give my wife a lot of credit for that. I made sure she knew we needed to be on the same side before we went into that discussion, and she stuck with me. My sister-in-law reluctantly started working on our checklist. She really dragged her feet, though. She eventually got a part-time, minimum wage job working at a fabric store. That, of course, meant my wife, and occasionally me, had to take care of her kids. It was a bloody nightmare, to be honest. Her kids were vicious hellions, and we had a lot of personality conflicts. My daughter started to lose it due to the stress of having her cousins around all the time. Aside from getting a job, sister-in-law didn't do anything else we required. She never got food or financial assistance because the process was too hard, in her words, but she had lied to us saying she was making progress. She lied a lot, actually. Her husband moved to a nearby city to find a job, but he still had zero prospects and wasn't really looking. I swear, these two have a warped perception of working hard. It's like they think if they spend 15 minutes a day doing something, that's enough. Worst of all, they lied about it all the time. If they put in half as much effort trying as they did lying, they'd be set for life. After moving to said city, my barnacle-in-law suddenly had a million excuses as to why he could hang around my house. Sometimes it was to print up his laughable resume, and sometimes it would be to use my computer to submit a resume. It wasn't hard to see through their plan. They were trying to get him to move in with us. Things got incredibly hostile in our house, and we had to lay down the law. He couldn't come to our house unless we invited him, and that brought on a lot of accusations, like we were trying to keep the kids away from their dad, and we were breaking the law by doing that. For the record, we did encourage him to spend time with his kids, just not at our house. The stress became unbearable. I had to start taking antidepressants to get my nerves under control. Like I said, sister-in-law's kids were real monsters. She never disciplined them or tried to take care of them. They were also destructive as hell. They left gouges in the drywall, broke things, and even smeared poop on the bathroom walls. Of course, we always had to clean it all up. It was a giant freaking mess. We got lucky after 5 months. My father-in-law allowed sister-in-law and her family to move back into his old house. They had to borrow money from his family to get a moving truck and pay for gas. We also had to chip in when they came up a few $100 short. And yes, I know we're never going to be repaid. We got them packed up, told them to never come back, and waved goodbye. Oh, and her husband did get a job. After the dust settled, the thing that sticks with me is guilt. I feel guilty that I just didn't roll with it. I feel guilty that I jeopardized our finances. I feel guilty at how amazing it is to have my life back. I feel guilty knowing they're probably not paying my father-in-law the agreed upon rent for his house and that they're going to destroy it too. My advice to anyone in my situation, don't let them move in. You're in for so much more pain and suffering than you think you are. People like my sister and brother-in-law are leeches. You cannot fix them. Hear, hear. You can't help those who won't help themselves. I really hope OP is able to help himself and his family. I strongly recommend therapy, not only to recover from this ordeal, but to sort out the baseless guilt he's feeling. Like I said, guilt is the worst motivator as it leads to situations like this. Best of luck to you and your family, OP. As for your in-laws, they can get stuffed. And with that, I'll end the video here. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.